How to understand anyone. Lessons in understanding others' thoughts. Stoicism. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. This profound insight from the Stoic philosopher Epictetus is the key to truly understanding the thoughts and emotions of those around us. In today's video on Stoic in your life, I'm going to reveal 3 powerful methods that will help you not just hear, but truly understand what others are thinking. These techniques, rooted in the timeless wisdom of Stoicism, are invaluable in all aspects of life, from personal relationships to professional interactions. If you grasp these methods, you'll unlock the ability to connect deeply with anyone you meet. So, stay with me as we dive into a fascinating story that will illuminate these principles. I challenge you to apply these timeless lessons in your daily life and witness the profound change they bring. What insights have you gained in your journey to understand others? Share your experiences in the comments below, and let's continue this discussion together. If this resonates with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay tuned for more wisdom on living a Stoic life. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Understanding the thoughts and motivations of others isn't about reading minds. It's about recognizing the inner workings that drive their actions. Today, we delve into a timeless story that teaches us how even the simplest of actions, grounded in empathy and understanding, can transform our relationships and perspectives. This story holds powerful lessons on how we can apply Stoic wisdom to truly understand those around us. In a small, ancient village, there lived 2 brothers whose lives were starkly different yet deeply intertwined. The elder brother, blind since birth, spent his days confined within the walls of their modest home, while the younger brother labored tirelessly in the fields, striving to provide for them both. Life, however, was not kind to the younger brother that season. The fields, his lifeblood, were under constant siege by wild animals, which trampled and consumed the precious crops, leaving him devastated and disheartened. The younger brother, desperate for a solution, found himself consumed by frustration. Yet, it was within this frustration that a spark of inspiration emerged. Reflecting on his brother's situation, the younger man thought, "What if I could give my brother a sense of purpose while also saving our crops?" Despite his blindness, he could still be of great help. The idea was simple yet profound. Build a small hut by the fields where his blind brother could stay. There, with his acute hearing, he could alert the younger brother to any approaching animals, scaring them away with his voice. This way, the elder brother would no longer feel useless and isolated, and their crops might be saved from further destruction. The younger brother wasted no time in executing his plan. He built a sturdy little hut at the edge of the field, a place where his brother could sit and listen intently for any disturbances. "Brother," he said, "I need your help. If you hear any sounds of animals near the crops, shout as loudly as you can. Your voice will scare them away and keep our fields safe." The elder brother, moved by the opportunity to contribute despite his disability, eagerly agreed. From that day on, he spent his time in the hut, his ears attuned to the rustling sounds of the animals. Whenever he heard a noise, he would shout with all his might, sending the animals scurrying back into the woods. Days turned into weeks, and the brothers' plan seemed to work brilliantly. This story, though simple, offers profound lessons in understanding and empathy, key tenets of Stoic philosophy. The younger brother's decision to involve his elder sibling was not merely an act of practicality, it was an act of deep empathy. He recognized that despite his brother's blindness, he had valuable strengths, his sharp hearing and his desire to be useful. By understanding his brother's feelings of inadequacy and loneliness, the younger brother found a way to give him a sense of purpose. In the process, they both learned that even the seemingly weakest among us can contribute in meaningful ways, if given the right opportunity. In our modern lives, we often overlook the potential of those around us, especially when they appear limited or disadvantaged in some way. Yet as the story illustrates, Understanding and empathy can uncover hidden strengths and forge stronger connections. The Stoic lesson here is clear. To truly understand and connect with others, we must see beyond their limitations and recognize the value they bring to our lives. Seneca wisely said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." By shifting our perspective and embracing empathy, we can transform our relationships and our own mental state. Applying this wisdom to our daily interactions means looking for opportunities to understand the deeper motivations and challenges of those around us. It's about asking ourselves, what strengths or desires might this person have that are not immediately visible? How can I help them realize their potential? This approach not only enhances our relationships, but also enriches our own lives by fostering a sense of shared purpose and mutual respect. As you reflect on this story, consider how you can apply these lessons in your own life. Perhaps there's someone in your life who feels overlooked or undervalued. How might you, like the younger brother, recognize their strengths and offer them a role that brings out their best? Remember, true understanding begins with empathy, seeing the world not just as it is, but as others experience it. By cultivating this mindset, you'll find that you can connect with anyone on a deeper level, creating bonds that are both resilient and rewarding. The story of the two brothers is not just a tale of ingenuity, it is a powerful reminder of the importance of understanding and empathy in our relationships. As we navigate the challenges of life, let us take to heart the words of Marcus Aurelius. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. By choosing thoughts that are grounded in empathy and understanding, we can create a life filled with meaningful connections and lasting happiness. Stay tuned as we explore more ways to apply Stoic principles to enhance your life and the lives of those around you. One day, a deer darted through the fields of two brothers, breaking the fence as it made its escape. Shortly after, a king who was out hunting followed in hot pursuit of the deer, his attention drawn to the blind brother who sat by the fields. The king, curious and somewhat perplexed, approached the blind man and asked, "Did you see the deer pass through here?" Without hesitation, the blind brother responded, "Your Majesty, I am blind. How could I see the deer? But I can tell you this. The animal you seek has already left my field and it is not worth pursuing. You are wasting your time." The king was taken aback by the certainty in the blind man's voice. How could a man who could not see possibly know whether the deer was worth chasing or not? Puzzled, the king asked, "Are you lying to me? On one hand, you claim to be blind, yet on the other, you assert with confidence that the deer has run away and is not worth pursuing." The blind man, calm and composed, replied, "O king, the creature you believe to be a deer is actually a doe, and it is pregnant. To my knowledge, no noble king has ever hunted a pregnant doe. That is why I advised you not to waste your time chasing it." These words left the king even more astonished. How could this blind man, who had never laid eyes on the deer, know it was a pregnant doe? Doubts filled the king's mind as he thought, how could he possibly know such details? He speaks with such conviction, but I must verify his claim. Determined to uncover the truth, the king ordered his soldiers, "Soldiers, bring this animal back alive. I must confirm whether it is indeed a pregnant doe as the blind man claims. Go, and return with the proof I need." The soldiers swiftly carried out the king's command, scouring the area until they found the animal. When they returned, they reported to the king, "Your Majesty, the blind man was absolutely right. It is indeed a pregnant doe." The king, now filled with amazement and respect, still couldn't grasp how the blind man knew so much about the animal he had never seen. Questions swirled in the king's mind, and finally he decided to confront the blind man directly. "Look," the king began, "I may not fully understand whether you are truly blind, but I must ask you something important. Will you give me an honest answer?" The blind man, unwavering, replied, "Your Majesty, ask me whatever you wish, and I will answer truthfully." The king then asked, "How is it that you, who claim to be blind, knew so much about the animal I was pursuing?" You knew it was a pregnant doe, you sensed its presence, and you even knew it was not worth my time to chase. How did you know all these things? The story of the blind man and the king offers a profound lesson in understanding the thoughts and motivations of others, a lesson deeply rooted in the principles of Stoicism. The blind man's wisdom was not a result of sight, but of perception, intuition, and a deep understanding of the natural world and human behavior. In our modern lives, we often rely too heavily on what we see and neglect the other senses and faculties that can offer us insight into the thoughts and emotions of those around us. We judge based on appearances, make assumptions without deeper inquiry, and often miss the subtle cues that reveal the true nature of a situation or person. Consider this. How often do we really listen to others, not just to their words, but to the emotions and intentions behind those words? How often do we take the time to understand the context of someone's actions rather than rushing to judgment? The blind man understood that there was more to the king's pursuit than just the chase. He sensed the nature of the animal and the implications of hunting it, even without sight. This level of understanding comes from a place of empathy, of putting oneself in another's shoes, and seeing the world through their perspective. In today's fast-paced world, we might ask ourselves, how can we develop such insight and understanding in our interactions with others? The key lies in slowing down, paying attention to the subtleties of communication, and honing our ability to perceive beyond the obvious. For example, when dealing with a difficult colleague or loved one, instead of reacting impulsively to their words or actions, we can pause and consider what might be driving their behavior. Are they under stress? Are they dealing with issues we are unaware of? By asking these open-ended questions, we allow ourselves to see beyond the immediate and tap into a deeper understanding of their situation. The lesson here is clear. True understanding goes beyond mere observation. It requires empathy, patience, and a willingness to see the world through another's eyes. As Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Let this story of the blind man remind us that wisdom is not just about what we see, but about how deeply we understand. The next time you find yourself in a situation where you need to understand someone else's thoughts or motivations, remember to listen with more than just your ears and see with more than just your eyes. By doing so, you will cultivate a deeper, more empathetic approach to life, one that leads to stronger relationships and greater inner peace. The blind man, with a calm demeanor, then explained, "Your Majesty, when you were chasing that deer, I listened carefully to its movements, the speed, the sound, and the way it reacted to the obstacles in its path. From these details, I deduced that it was indeed a deer. My field is surrounded by a low fence not too high for a typical deer to leap over easily. But instead of jumping, this deer broke through the fence. This action signaled to me that the deer was carrying something precious, its unborn fawn. A pregnant doe, concerned for the safety of its fawn, would avoid any risky leaps, and that's how I knew it was pregnant." Upon hearing this, the king was deeply impressed by the blind man's reasoning. He marveled at how someone deprived of sight could possess such a keen understanding of the world through other senses. The king began to realize that wisdom isn't solely about what we see, but about how we perceive and interpret the world around us. Intrigued and eager to learn more, the king decided to test the blind man further, recognizing that there was much he could gain from this man's insights. "Wise man," the king began, "your knowledge seems to go far beyond what the eye can see. You have a profound understanding of things that many might overlook. I have one more question for you, and I hope you can answer it with the same clarity." The king paused, allowing the gravity of his words to settle in before continuing. "Tell me, am I truly my father's son? Or am I someone else's? This question has plagued me for some time, and I need an honest answer to put my mind at ease." The blind man, understanding the weight of the king's question, replied thoughtfully, "Your Majesty, Does it truly matter who your parents are? You are the king of this land, respected and powerful, and the question of your lineage should not trouble you. What's important is how you rule and the legacy you create, not the circumstances of your birth. But the king, driven by his need for certainty, insisted, "No, I must know the truth. If you can give me an honest answer, I will not prevent you from leaving, but if you don't, this doubt will continue to haunt me." Recognizing the king's determination, the blind man responded, "Very well, Your Majesty. I can give you the answer you seek, but I must ask something of you first. Promise me that no matter what I say, you will not become angry with me." The king, desperate to resolve his inner turmoil, agreed without hesitation. "I promise you, wise man, that I will not become angry with you." This exchange between the blind man and the king offers a deep lesson in understanding and wisdom. The blind man, despite his physical blindness, demonstrates an extraordinary ability to perceive the world, not through sight but through careful observation, intuition, and a profound understanding of behavior. This teaches us that true understanding doesn't always come from what we can see with our eyes, but from how we interpret the subtle signs and signals that others might miss. In modern life, we often rely too much on appearances and surface-level judgments, forgetting that there is often much more beneath the surface. How often do we truly listen to others, paying attention not just to their words, but to their tone, their body language, and the context of their actions? And how often do we question the assumptions we make based on what we see? This story challenges us to look deeper, to ask ourselves what we might be missing when we only focus on the obvious. It also reminds us that wisdom can come from unexpected places, and that even those who seem disadvantaged may have insights that are valuable and worth considering. The king's question about his lineage also raises an important point about identity and self-worth. Are we defined by our origins, or by what we make of ourselves? The blind man's response suggests that it is our actions, our decisions, and the way we live our lives that truly define us, not the circumstances of our birth. As the philosopher Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." In this context, the king's poverty lies in his need for validation through his lineage, rather than recognizing the power and authority he already possesses. As you reflect on this story, consider how you can apply its lessons to your own life. Are there situations where you might be overlooking important details because you're too focused on what's right in front of you? Are there people in your life whose insights you might be undervaluing because they don't fit your idea of what wisdom looks like? And finally, what questions are you holding on to that might be distracting you from what's truly important? The blind man's wisdom invites us to let go of these distractions and focus on what really matters: understanding, empathy, and the choices we make. So as you move forward, ask yourself, how can you use the insights from this story to deepen your understanding of the world and the people around you? The answers you find might surprise you, just as they surprised the king. The blind man, who had already impressed the king with his wisdom, then spoke again. "Your Majesty, you are indeed your father's son, but your actions are influenced by a stingy merchant." This revelation both intrigued and pleased the king, sparking a sense of urgency within him. He rushed to his mother and, with a heart full of determination, asked, "Mother, tell me the truth. Am I truly my father's son, or am I someone else's? If you do not tell me the truth right now, I will end my life. I must know the reality of my lineage." His mother, understanding the gravity of her son's plea, replied, "My son, you are indeed the son of your father, but it is also true that you are under the influence of a stingy merchant." Hearing this confirmation, the king felt a wave of satisfaction and immediately returned to the blind man. "How did you know that I was under the influence of a stingy merchant?" he asked, eager to understand the depth of the blind man's insight. The blind man, ever composed, answered, "Your Majesty, you have asked me many questions, and I have provided you with the correct answers to all of them. If you were any other king, I would have received many rewards by now, yet you have not given me a single penny. From this, I deduced that you are very stingy." The king, realizing the truth in the blind man's words, laughed heartily, recognizing his own behavior reflected back at him with such clarity. He then promised, "Whatever you ask for, I will surely give you. But tell me, how do you know how to distinguish right from wrong? How can you provide such accurate answers?" The blind man, sensing the king's genuine curiosity, explained further, "Your Majesty, I was born blind. If I had eyes, I could easily understand anyone's thoughts by observing them. The mind has its own language, and this language can be seen through a person's actions, through their eyes, their lips, and how they carry themselves. These expressions are windows into what is happening inside their mind. But because I am blind, I rely on perceiving through actions. When I want to understand someone, I observe how they handle tasks, how they react under pressure, and how they navigate challenges. These actions reveal the truth of their thoughts, allowing me to see with clarity what others might miss." The king, now deeply engaged, asked the blind man a question that perhaps many of us have pondered. "So, does that mean I can also know someone's thoughts?" This question opens the door to a deeper understanding of how we, too, can apply these Stoic principles in our daily lives. The blind man's wisdom teaches us that understanding others is not about having special abilities, but about paying close attention to the details, the subtle cues that people give off through their behavior. In our modern lives, we often get caught up in the noise of words and miss the nonverbal communication that can tell us so much more. How often do we listen to someone's tone, observe their body language, or consider their actions when trying to understand what they truly think or feel? This story challenges us to think beyond the surface, to look at the world and the people around us with a more discerning eye. The blind man could not see in the conventional sense, but his ability to perceive was sharper than most. He understood that true insight comes from observation and analysis, not just from what is said, but from what is done. As Epictetus wisely noted, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. Listening, in this sense, isn't just about hearing words. It's about interpreting the full range of human expression. Applying this lesson to our own lives means taking the time to observe, to ask ourselves questions about what we see, and to connect the dots between a person's actions and their underlying thoughts. It means being patient and not rushing to judgment, but rather allowing the full picture to emerge. Just as the blind man gave the king tasks to see how he would respond, we too can better understand those around us by observing how they act in different situations. Are they calm under pressure? Do they react defensively when challenged? These are the kinds of insights that can reveal much about a person's inner world. The lesson here is profound. To truly understand someone, you must look beyond the obvious and pay attention to the subtle, often overlooked details. In doing so, you can develop a deeper, more accurate understanding of others, which will enhance your relationships and your ability to navigate the complexities of human interaction. So, as you go about your day, ask yourself, what can I learn from the actions of those around me? How can I use this knowledge to build stronger connections and make better decisions? The wisdom of the blind man teaches us that with careful observation and thoughtful analysis, we can all become better at understanding the minds and hearts of those we encounter. Thank you so much for being here and watching this video on How to Understand Anyone, Lessons in Understanding Others' Thoughts, Stoicism. I'd love to hear your thoughts. How do you apply Stoic principles to understand the thoughts and emotions of others in your daily life? If you're not sure what to comment, you could share a time when you successfully understand someone's feelings without them saying a word, or perhaps a lesson you've learned from practicing empathy and observation. Let's start a meaningful discussion in the comments below. The blind man, wise beyond his years and experience, responded to the king's question with a calm assurance. "Certainly, Your Majesty, you too can understand anyone's thoughts. But before you can do this, there is an important step you must take. You must first work on mastering your own mind." The key to understanding others begins with bringing your mind into the present moment. Often, our thoughts are scattered, dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. But to truly connect with another person, you need to be fully present, because that person is also existing in the present moment. How can you hope to understand someone else's thoughts if your mind is wandering through past memories or future anxieties? To know what someone is thinking right now, you must focus your mind and bring it to the here and now. The blind man then offered to share 3 simple yet powerful methods with the king, methods that would help him understand the thoughts of anyone he encountered. He began with the first method, saying, "The first step is to pay attention to the eyes. The eyes are often called the windows to the soul, and for good reason. They do not speak with words, but they convey a great deal of unspoken information. If you learn to read the signals in someone's eyes, you can gain deep insights into what is happening in their mind, what they are thinking, and even what they might be planning to do next. Although I am blind now, I learned this skill from the Buddha Shakyamuni himself many years ago. At that time, I still had my sight, and I could understand a person's thoughts just by looking into their eyes." Continuing his explanation, the blind man offered practical advice. If you want to know what someone is thinking, focus on their eyes. Observe where they are looking, how their gaze moves, and in which direction their eyes travel. If their eyes dart around while you are speaking, it often means they are uncomfortable or trying to escape the conversation. They might even be lying. On the other hand, if someone avoids direct eye contact, it could be a sign that they fear their deceit will be uncovered, or that they are hiding something. But if a person's eyes remain steady and meet yours directly without much movement, it's likely that they are being honest, open, and genuinely interested in what you have to say. He then added, "It's not just about where the eyes are looking, but also about how the rest of the face reacts. Pay close attention to the movement of their eyebrows. If someone's eyebrows lower while they look away, it could indicate that they are deep in thought or troubled by something else entirely. Conversely, if their eyebrows raise and their eyes widen, it's usually a sign of surprise or curiosity about what you've said. There's also the matter of pupils, the small black centers of the eyes. If someone's pupils are dilated, it's a good sign they are interested in you or in what you're saying. Dilation can indicate excitement, happiness, or even affection. But if their pupils are constricted, it's often a sign of displeasure, anger, or discomfort. These insights offered by the blind man are not just ancient wisdom. They are still highly relevant in our modern lives. Think about a time when you were in a conversation with someone and felt that something was off. Maybe their words didn't quite match their body language, or you had a gut feeling that they weren't being completely honest. By learning to read the subtle cues in a person's eyes and facial expressions, you can gain a better understanding of their true thoughts and feelings, even when their words might suggest otherwise. But here's a question for you. How often do you really focus on the person you're speaking with? Are you truly present, or is your mind wandering elsewhere? The blind man's advice isn't just about understanding others. It's about being fully engaged in the moment. When you practice this level of mindfulness, you not only improve your ability to connect with others, but you also enhance your own sense of peace and clarity. As you move forward in your interactions with others, try applying these techniques. Notice where people's eyes are looking when they talk to you. Are they avoiding your gaze, or are they fully engaged? What does the movement of their eyebrows or the dilation of their pupils tell you about their emotional state? These observations, though subtle, can reveal a great deal about what someone is truly thinking or feeling. And remember, the key to mastering this skill lies in the present moment. The more you train yourself to focus on the here and now, the more attuned you will become to the thoughts and emotions of those around you. The blind man's teachings offer us valuable lessons not just in understanding others, but in understanding ourselves. By bringing our minds to the present and focusing on the small but telling details of human interaction, we can improve our relationships, make better decisions, and ultimately lead a more fulfilling life. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." So, as you go through your day, remember to focus your mind, observe the world around you carefully, and you'll find that understanding others becomes much more intuitive. The blind man, wise beyond his years and experience, responded to the king's question with a calm assurance. "Certainly, Your Majesty, you too can understand anyone's thoughts. But before you can do this, there is an important step you must take. You must first work on mastering your own mind." The key to understanding others begins with bringing your mind into the present moment. Often, our thoughts are scattered, dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. But to truly connect with another person, you need to be fully present, because that person is also existing in the present moment. How can you hope to understand someone else's thoughts if your mind is wandering through past memories or future anxieties? To know what someone is thinking right now, you must focus your mind and bring it to the here and now. The blind man then offered to share 3 simple yet powerful methods with the king, methods that would help him understand the thoughts of anyone he encountered. He began with the first method, saying, "The first step is to pay attention to the eyes. The eyes are often called the windows to the soul, and for good reason. They do not speak with words, but they convey a great deal of unspoken information. If you learn to read the signals in someone's eyes, you can gain deep insights into what is happening in their mind, what they are thinking, and even what they might be planning to do next. Although I am blind now, I learned this skill from the Buddha Shakyamuni himself many years ago. At that time, I still had my sight, and I could understand a person's thoughts just by looking into their eyes." Continuing his explanation, the blind man offered practical advice. If you want to know what someone is thinking, focus on their eyes. Observe where they are looking, how their gaze moves, and in which direction their eyes travel. If their eyes dart around while you are speaking, it often means they are uncomfortable or trying to escape the conversation. They might even be lying. On the other hand, if someone avoids direct eye contact, it could be a sign that they fear their deceit will be uncovered, or that they are hiding something. But if a person's eyes remain steady and meet yours directly without much movement, it's likely that they are being honest, open, and genuinely interested in what you have to say. He then added, "It's not just about where the eyes are looking, but also about how the rest of the face reacts. Pay close attention to the movement of their eyebrows. If someone's eyebrows lower while they look away, it could indicate that they are deep in thought or troubled by something else entirely. Conversely, if their eyebrows raise and their eyes widen, it's usually a sign of surprise or curiosity about what you've said. There's also the matter of pupils, the small black centers of the eyes. If someone's pupils are dilated, it's a good sign they are interested in you or in what you're saying. Dilation can indicate excitement, happiness, or even affection. But if their pupils are constricted, it's often a sign of displeasure, anger, or discomfort. These insights offered by the blind man are not just ancient wisdom. They are still highly relevant in our modern lives. Think about a time when you were in a conversation with someone and felt that something was off. Maybe their words didn't quite match their body language, or you had a gut feeling that they weren't being completely honest. By learning to read the subtle cues in a person's eyes and facial expressions, you can gain a better understanding of their true thoughts and feelings, even when their words might suggest otherwise. But here's a question for you. How often do you really focus on the person you're speaking with? Are you truly present, or is your mind wandering elsewhere? The blind man's advice isn't just about understanding others. It's about being fully engaged in the moment. When you practice this level of mindfulness, you not only improve your ability to connect with others, but you also enhance your own sense of peace and clarity. As you move forward in your interactions with others, try applying these techniques. Notice where people's eyes are looking when they talk to you. Are they avoiding your gaze, or are they fully engaged? What does the movement of their eyebrows or the dilation of their pupils tell you about their emotional state? These observations, though subtle, can reveal a great deal about what someone is truly thinking or feeling. And remember, the key to mastering this skill lies in the present moment. The more you train yourself to focus on the here and now, the more attuned you will become to the thoughts and emotions of those around you. The blind man's teachings offer us valuable lessons not just in understanding others, but in understanding ourselves. By bringing our minds to the present and focusing on the small but telling details of human interaction, we can improve our relationships, make better decisions, and ultimately lead a more fulfilling life. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." So, as you go through your day, remember to focus your mind, observe the world around you carefully, and you'll find that understanding others becomes much more intuitive. The blind man, who had already shared valuable insights with the king, continued to explain the third method of understanding others' thoughts. "Your Majesty," he began, "there is a third language you must learn if you wish to truly understand what someone is thinking, the language of gestures and body language. Words can often be deceptive, but the body rarely lies. The movements of the hands, the posture, the way someone shifts their weight or tilts their head, all of these subtle cues are part of a secret dialogue that goes on beneath the surface of spoken conversation. To truly grasp someone's thoughts, it's essential to pay close attention to these nonverbal signals." He went on to elaborate. "When people talk, their bodies naturally move in ways that reflect their emotions and intentions. You might have noticed that as someone speaks, their hands often come into play, creating gestures that emphasize or even contradict their words. This is because the body expresses what the mind is processing, often without the person even realizing it. For example, when someone is confident, their posture is upright, their gestures are controlled, and they occupy space with ease. When they are anxious or unsure, they might fidget, cross their arms defensively, or avoid making large gestures altogether. The blind man knew that understanding these subtle cues could provide the king and anyone else the ability to see beyond the surface. He continued, "The body and hands can convey a wealth of information without a single word being spoken. It's like a secret language that reveals what others want and feel through the small, often unconscious movements they make. Let's explore some of the common signs you might notice. When someone crosses their arms tightly across their chest, it's often a defensive posture, indicating that they are closed off or feeling threatened. On the other hand, if someone's hands are open and their palms are visible, it usually signals openness and honesty. If they lean in towards you while talking, they're likely engaged and interested in the conversation. But if they lean back or turn slightly away, it might mean they're disinterested or uncomfortable." As the blind man spoke, he made it clear that these observations were not just about reading the signs, but about understanding the emotions behind them. "You see, Your Majesty," he said, "each gesture, each movement, is a reflection of what is happening inside a person's mind. When you see someone tapping their foot or drumming their fingers, it's often a sign of impatience or anxiety. A person who frequently touches their face while speaking might be nervous, uncertain, or even lying. Meanwhile, someone who mirrors your movements, subtly copying your gestures, is likely trying to build rapport and connect with you on a deeper level." He continued to weave these ideas into practical advice, saying, "In modern life, we often overlook these nonverbal cues because we're so focused on the words being spoken. But remember, more than half of communication is nonverbal. The next time you're in a conversation, pay attention not just to what's being said, but how it's being said. Notice the gestures, the posture, the facial expressions. Are the person's words aligned with their body language? If not, the body signals may be telling you a different story." The blind man's wisdom offers us a powerful tool for navigating our interactions with others. He wasn't just teaching the king how to observe. He was teaching him how to connect on a deeper level, to understand the unspoken feelings and thoughts that shape human behavior. This understanding is crucial, not just in the king's court, but in our everyday lives as well. Consider how often miscommunication occurs not because of what was said, but because of what was left unsaid or misinterpreted. By becoming more attuned to body language, we can bridge gaps in understanding, avoid unnecessary conflicts, and build stronger, more genuine relationships. The blind man concluded his lesson with a reminder that ties back to the core of Stoic philosophy. "Your Majesty, as you learn to read these signs, Remember that understanding others is not just about gaining an advantage, it's about empathy. It's about seeing the world through another's eyes, recognizing their struggles, fears, and desires, and responding with compassion. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." In the same way, waste no time in judging others by their words alone. Look deeper, understand more, and respond with the wisdom of knowing what truly lies in their hearts. As you take these lessons into your daily life, ask yourself, how often do you really pay attention to the body language of those around you? What might you discover if you tuned in more closely to these subtle signals? The answers could lead to richer, more meaningful interactions, and a greater ability to navigate the complexities of human relationships with grace and insight. I once encountered a man who seemed restless and uneasy. His eyes darted everywhere, never meeting mine. This indicated anxiety and a desire to escape the conversation. Curious, I pressed him with a few more questions, and it turned out he was hiding something. This experience taught me that a person's facial expressions, particularly their eyes, can give away what they're truly feeling or thinking, even when their words might say otherwise. The face, as the wise have often said, is like a canvas that paints a picture of our emotions. If you want to understand someone deeply, you must learn to read these silent signs. For instance, when you see someone with the corners of their mouth turned down, forming a small frown, it's usually a sign of unhappiness, dissatisfaction, or loss. Even if they don't say a word, their facial expression reveals their inner turmoil. The eyes play a crucial role here too. A genuine smile isn't just about the mouth, it's about the eyes. When someone is truly happy, their smile lifts their cheeks and narrows their eyes, making them light up with joy. On the other hand, if the smile doesn't reach the eyes, it's likely forced or insincere. Consider the area between a person's eyebrows. When it's wrinkled and tense, it often signals that they are deep in thought, confused, or grappling with something difficult. Similarly, the mouth can be a significant indicator of what someone is feeling. A closed, tight mouth can suggest disagreement, disapproval, or reluctance to speak, while an open, relaxed mouth usually indicates openness, comfort, and a readiness to engage. These small, often overlooked details can reveal a wealth of information about what a person is truly experiencing inside. Let me share a story to illustrate this. I once met someone who seemed indifferent, almost as if they didn't care about anything. But I noticed a small wrinkle on their forehead, a tiny sign that something was troubling them. I gently asked if there was anything bothering them, and after some hesitation, they opened up about their problem. Once they shared, I could see the tension ease from their face and their eyes began to smile, a genuine smile that reflected a sense of relief and gratitude. This experience reinforced the idea that understanding someone's facial expressions can lead to meaningful connections and help you provide the support they might need. As you go through your daily interactions, ask yourself, how often do you truly observe the faces of those around you? Do you notice the slight changes in their expressions, the subtle cues that might tell you more than their words ever could? By honing your ability to read these facial signals, you'll be better equipped to understand others' emotions, whether they choose to express them verbally or not. This skill can greatly improve your relationships as you become more attuned to the unspoken needs and feelings of the people in your life. The key lesson is this: a person's face is a map to their heart. Whether they speak or remain silent, their facial expressions will often tell you everything you need to know. As Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, wisely said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." By learning to read the colors of a person's face, their expressions, their eye movements, their subtle gestures, you can gain profound insights into their inner world. So next time you're in a conversation, take a moment to observe the other person's face. What are they really telling you? Their faces might just reveal the truth that words cannot. Understanding others is not just about hearing their words, but also about interpreting the subtle cues they give off through their body language. The body speaks a language of its own, often revealing more about a person's thoughts and emotions than they might ever express verbally. And now, we're going to delve into this silent yet powerful form of communication, body language, and uncover the secrets it holds. By the end of this discussion, you'll have a deeper insight into reading others and understanding the unspoken messages they convey. Body language is a universal language that speaks volumes without uttering a single word. It's a way people communicate their true thoughts and feelings, often unconsciously. And learning to read these signals can give you a profound understanding of those around you. Let's explore some common body language signs and what they typically mean. When someone crosses their arms tightly across their chest, it's often a defensive posture, indicating that they feel threatened, closed off, or uninterested in what's being discussed. This gesture acts as a barrier, suggesting that the person is not receptive to the conversation and may be protecting themselves emotionally. On the other hand, if someone's hands are open with their palms visible, this is a classic sign of openness and honesty. It suggests that the person is willing to engage, is being truthful, and has nothing to hide. This openness is often accompanied by a relaxed posture, indicating that the person is comfortable and at ease with the situation. When someone leans in during a conversation, it's usually a sign of interest and engagement. They are fully invested in what's being said. Conversely, if they lean back or turn slightly away, it could indicate disinterest, discomfort, or even disagreement. Let's not overlook the role of facial expressions in conveying emotions. A genuine smile, one that reaches the eyes and creates crow's feet at the corners, is a reliable indicator of true happiness and warmth. In contrast, a forced smile, where the mouth is smiling but the eyes remain unchanged, often signals insincerity or discomfort. Similarly, a furrowed brow can indicate confusion, concentration, or concern. When someone's eyebrows are raised, it typically signifies surprise or curiosity. These small movements may seem insignificant, but they are windows into what the person is really thinking. In modern life, where much of our communication is rushed and superficial, paying attention to these nonverbal cues can greatly enhance your interactions. Think about your last meeting or conversation. Did you notice how the other person was sitting? Did you observe their facial expressions or where their hands were? These details can provide valuable context that words alone might not convey. By tuning into these subtle signals, you can respond more appropriately, build better relationships, and avoid misunderstandings. Let me illustrate this with a story. I once encountered a colleague who seemed disengaged during a critical discussion. While his words were agreeable, his body language told a different story. He sat with his arms crossed, his body angled slightly away from the group, and he avoided making eye contact. Sensing his discomfort, I asked him privately if he had concerns about the project. This opened the door to a candid conversation where he expressed his reservations, which we were then able to address. This experience reinforced the importance of reading between the lines, understanding not just what is said, but what is left unsaid. Another important aspect of body language is the concept of mirroring. When two people are in sync, they often unconsciously mirror each other's gestures, postures, and expressions. This behavior is a sign of rapport and mutual understanding. If you notice someone mirroring your actions, it's a good indication that they are comfortable with you and are engaged in the conversation. You can even use this technique deliberately to build rapport. By subtly mirroring the other person's body language, you can create a sense of connection and trust. Understanding body language is like learning a new language, one that everyone speaks but few are fluent in. It requires observation, patience, and practice. But once you start paying attention to the subtle cues, the way someone stands, where they place their hands, the expression in their eyes, you'll begin to see a richer, more nuanced picture of their thoughts and feelings. As you move through your day, challenge yourself to tune into these signals. How does your coworker's posture change when discussing different topics? What do your friends' eyes reveal when they're talking about something personal? The answers to these questions can help you navigate relationships with greater empathy and insight. Remember, as Marcus Aurelius said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thought. If you've made it this far, you're truly dedicated to mastering the art of understanding others. Drop a comment saying, "I see clearly now," to show you're committed to this Stoic journey of deeper connection and insight. Stick around, the journey continues. In today's fast-paced world, where many interactions are rushed or superficial, recognizing these signs can help you slow down and truly connect with the person in front of you. Have you ever noticed how a conversation feels different when the other person is genuinely engaged? The flow is smoother, the exchange more meaningful, and you walk away feeling heard and understood. This is the power of positive body language. It creates an environment where honest and effective communication can flourish. Now think about your own interactions. When you're speaking with someone, do you notice how often they make eye contact? How often do they smile? And is that smile reflected in their eyes? These small cues can reveal a lot about their attitude towards the conversation. In a work setting, for example, a colleague who consistently makes eye contact and smiles during meetings is likely someone who is engaged and values the team's input. This can be a sign that they are open to collaboration and eager to contribute positively to the group's efforts. On the other hand, a lack of these signs might indicate disinterest or discomfort, suggesting that the person might not be fully on board with the discussion at hand. In modern life, where digital communication often replaces face-to-face interactions, these physical signs of openness are even more crucial. While text messages and emails can convey words, they lack the richness of nonverbal communication. This is why video calls have become so important. They allow us to see and interpret these vital cues. During a video call, noticing if someone is making eye contact with the camera or if they're smiling genuinely can help you gauge their level of engagement and openness, even from afar. Let me share a story that illustrates the importance of recognizing these signs. A friend of mine once had to negotiate a crucial business deal. The stakes were high, and he knew that understanding the body language of his counterpart would be key to his success. During the meeting, the other party maintained steady eye contact and smiled genuinely throughout the discussion, signaling openness and a willingness to find common ground. Encouraged by these positive signs, my friend felt confident to propose a deal that was mutually beneficial. Because he had read the situation correctly, the negotiation ended in a successful agreement. This experience taught him, and can teach all of us, the importance of being attuned to these subtle but powerful signals. As you reflect on this, ask yourself, how often do you pay attention to these positive or open signs in your daily interactions? What might you discover about others, and even about yourself, if you tuned in more closely to these cues? Understanding these signs not only helps in personal interactions but can also be a powerful tool in professional settings, enhancing your ability to communicate, negotiate, and connect with others effectively. Recognizing and interpreting positive or open signs is a crucial skill in understanding others and building strong, meaningful relationships. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wisely advised, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. By focusing on the positive signals others give, you can cultivate better relationships, foster deeper connections, and create an environment where honest and open communication thrives. When it comes to understanding others, the ability to read nonverbal cues is invaluable. While positive or open signs indicate that someone is engaged and receptive, negative or closed signs often tell a different story, one of discomfort, disinterest, or even emotional distress. These cues can be subtle, but they are powerful indicators of how a person is truly feeling, regardless of what they might be saying. For instance, when someone crosses their arms tightly across their chest, it's often a defensive posture. This gesture can suggest that the person is feeling threatened, closed off, or unwilling to engage in the conversation. It's a physical barrier that they put up, possibly without even realizing it, to protect themselves from something they perceive as uncomfortable or challenging. Another common closed sign is when someone avoids eye contact. Eye contact is a fundamental aspect of communication and connection. When someone deliberately looks away or avoids meeting your gaze, it often signals that they are uncomfortable, hiding something, or simply not interested in the interaction. Looking down is another similar sign. It can indicate feelings of shame, insecurity, or submission. When a person is looking down while speaking to you, they might be feeling overwhelmed by the situation or uncertain about how to proceed. These negative or closed signs are essential to recognize because they can help you navigate conversations more effectively. If you notice these cues, it's a signal that the person you're interacting with might need some reassurance, a change in the approach of the conversation, or perhaps even some space. Understanding these signs can prevent misunderstandings and help you address issues before they escalate. For example, if you're in a business meeting and notice that a colleague has suddenly crossed their arms and started avoiding eye contact, it might be a sign that they're uncomfortable with the direction of the discussion. Recognizing this can allow you to adjust the conversation, perhaps by asking for their opinion directly or by reassuring them that their concerns are valued. Let's explore how these signs manifest in real-life situations. Imagine you're having a conversation with a friend who, despite nodding along to what you're saying, suddenly crosses their arms and starts looking down. You might initially think that they're agreeing with you, but their body language suggests otherwise. This could be a sign that they are feeling judged, uncomfortable, or even that they disagree with you but are hesitant to voice it. By picking up on these cues, you can ask open-ended questions to encourage them to share their true thoughts, which might lead to a more honest and productive dialogue. Famous Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This wisdom is highly applicable when interpreting body language. The closed signs you observe are not just about what the other person is experiencing. They are also about how you choose to respond. Do you push forward with the conversation, potentially ignoring their discomfort? Or do you pause to address what might be causing them to close off? Your reaction can significantly impact the outcome of the interaction. In our increasingly digital world, where so much communication happens through screens, it's easy to overlook the importance of body language. However, even in virtual meetings, you can observe some of these signs. If someone in a video call is frequently looking away from the screen, avoiding eye contact, or even physically distancing themselves from the camera, these could all be indicators that they're not fully engaged or comfortable. Recognizing these signs in a virtual setting can be just as important as in face-to-face interactions. Here's a story that highlights the importance of understanding these negative or closed signs. A manager once noticed that during team meetings, one of her employees would frequently cross his arms and avoid eye contact whenever a particular project was discussed. Instead of ignoring these signs, the manager decided to have a one-on-one conversation with the employee. She discovered that he had serious reservations about the project but didn't feel comfortable voicing them in the group setting. By acknowledging his body language and giving him space to express his concerns privately, she was able to address the issues and adjust the project plan to accommodate his valuable insights. This not only improved the project, but also strengthened the trust between the manager and her employee. What do you do when you notice someone crossing their arms, looking down, or avoiding eye contact? Do you push ahead with the conversation as planned, or do you take a moment to address what might be causing their discomfort? By becoming more attuned to these subtle cues, you can create a more empathetic and understanding environment in both your personal and professional relationships. Recognizing and understanding negative or closed signs is crucial for effective communication and deeper connections. By being aware of these nonverbal cues, you can adjust your approach, address underlying issues, and ultimately foster more meaningful interactions. Remember, as the Stoics teach us, it's not just about what we observe, but how we choose to respond. In your next conversation, pay close attention to these signals. What are they telling you, and how can you use that knowledge to enhance the dialogue? This practice of mindfulness and observation will not only help you understand others better, but also improve the quality of your interactions and relationships. Recognizing signs of anxiety in others is an essential skill when it comes to understanding human behavior. These subtle cues can reveal a lot about what a person is feeling, even when they try to hide their emotions. Anxiety signs are often easy to miss because they are usually small, repetitive actions like biting nails, twisting hands, or fidgeting. These behaviors are the body's way of coping with stress or nervousness, and they speak volumes about what's going on inside a person's mind. When someone bites their nails, for instance, it's often a subconscious way to relieve tension or distract themselves from their anxious thoughts. Similarly, twisting hands or fidgeting can indicate that a person is feeling uncomfortable or is under pressure. The significance of these signs goes beyond just identifying anxiety. It's about understanding the underlying reasons for these behaviors. When you notice someone biting their nails or twisting their hands, it's a clear signal that they might be struggling with something internally. This awareness gives you the opportunity to approach the situation with empathy and patience. Instead of pushing forward with a conversation or task that might be causing stress, you can take a moment to address their feelings, offer support, or simply give them the space they need. Recognizing these signs is the first step in helping others manage their anxiety, and it also helps you build stronger, more trusting relationships. Let's bring this concept into a real-world scenario. Think about a time when you were in a meeting or a social gathering and noticed someone repeatedly fidgeting or biting their nails. Perhaps it was a colleague who, despite their calm demeanor, kept twisting their hands under the table during a presentation. What was your reaction? Did you dismiss it as a harmless habit, or did you consider that it might be a sign of deeper anxiety or stress? These behaviors are not just random. They are expressions of the person's inner turmoil, often unnoticed by others, but critical to understanding their mental state. The philosopher Seneca once said, "There is nothing in the world so much admired as a man who knows how to bear unhappiness with courage." This quote highlights the Stoic approach to handling anxiety and stress, facing it with strength and composure. However, not everyone has mastered this skill, and that's where our understanding and support come into play. By recognizing the signs of anxiety in others, we can offer them the compassion they need to navigate their struggles. It's not about solving their problems for them, but about being present, listening, and offering reassurance. In modern life, where stress and anxiety are all too common, being able to recognize and respond to these signs can make a significant difference in your interactions. Whether you're dealing with a stressed-out coworker, a nervous friend, or even a family member who's struggling, your ability to notice these small cues can help you provide the right kind of support. For instance, if you see a friend biting their nails during a difficult conversation, you might pause and ask them how they're feeling or if there's anything on their mind. This simple act of acknowledging their anxiety can open the door to a deeper, more meaningful dialogue where they feel safe to express their concerns. Here's a story that illustrates the impact of recognizing anxiety signs. A manager at a fast-paced tech company noticed that one of her employees, a usually confident team member, had started to fidget constantly during meetings. He would twist his hands, avoid eye contact, and sometimes even bite his nails. Behaviors she hadn't noticed before. Instead of ignoring these signs, the manager decided to have a private conversation with the employee. She gently asked if everything was all right and if he was feeling particularly stressed about any projects. The employee, relieved to be asked, admitted that he was overwhelmed by the current workload and was afraid of not meeting deadlines. The manager then worked with him to prioritize tasks and redistribute some of the work, significantly reducing his stress. This not only improved the employee's performance, but also strengthened the trust between them. As you think about this story, consider how you might apply this awareness in your own life. How often do you notice when someone is exhibiting signs of anxiety? And more importantly, how do you respond? Do you brush it off, or do you take the time to address it with empathy? By becoming more attuned to these subtle signs, you can improve your relationships and create a more supportive environment for those around you. Anxiety signs like nail biting, hand twisting, or other fidgeting behaviors are not just habits. They are indicators of a person's emotional state. Recognizing these signs allows you to respond with empathy, offering support and understanding rather than ignoring or dismissing the person's feelings. As Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. By cultivating a mindset that values empathy and understanding, you can help others manage their anxieties and foster stronger, more meaningful connections. Next time you notice someone exhibiting signs of anxiety, ask yourself how you can be a source of comfort and support. Your awareness and compassion could make all the difference in helping them navigate their challenges with greater ease. Thank you for being part of today's video. Before we proceed, I want to express my sincere gratitude for your presence in our community. Whether you're here to share your thoughts or just to let us know you're part of this journey, your engagement means the world to us. If you're new, simply comment, "I am a newbie." Or if you've been with us for a while, comment, "I am Stoic." Your interaction is what keeps us motivated. Understanding when someone is bored or uninterested is crucial for maintaining effective communication and meaningful interactions. Boredom signs, though subtle, can be clear indicators that your message isn't resonating or that the person you're speaking with has mentally checked out. Recognizing these signs allows you to adapt your approach, re-engage your audience, or change the subject to something more relevant or interesting to them. One of the most obvious signs of boredom is a lack of eye contact. When someone avoids looking into your eyes, it often indicates that their mind is elsewhere. Eye contact is a fundamental part of human connection, and when it's missing, it's usually a sign that the person is not fully engaged in the conversation. They might be looking at their phone, gazing around the room, or simply staring off into space, anywhere but at you. This can happen in meetings, casual conversations, or even during a presentation, and it's a clear signal that something needs to change. Another sign of boredom is when someone's body language becomes disengaged. They might start slouching in their chair, tapping their fingers, or shifting restlessly. These physical cues are often accompanied by distracted behaviors, such as doodling, checking the time repeatedly, or even yawning. These actions suggest that the person is not invested in the conversation and is likely thinking about something else entirely. This is where understanding the subtleties of body language becomes essential. As Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When someone is bored, their thoughts are not aligned with the present moment, they are elsewhere, reflecting their inner state through their outward behavior. So, what can you do when you notice these signs of boredom? First, it's important to acknowledge them, not by calling the person out directly, but by adjusting your approach. If you're in a meeting and see that your colleague is disengaged, try to bring them back into the conversation by asking a question directly related to their expertise or interests. If you're in a one-on-one conversation, you might shift the topic to something you know they're passionate about, or simply ask for their thoughts on what you've been discussing. The goal is to reconnect with the person and bring their attention back to the present. Let's consider a real-life scenario that many of us have experienced. You're giving a presentation at work, and halfway through, you notice a few people in the room are checking their phones, doodling on their notepads, or staring out the window. These are all signs that they've lost interest in what you're saying. Rather than continuing down the same path, you might pause and ask the group a question that requires their input, or you could introduce a new, more engaging element to the presentation, such as a surprising fact, a relevant story, or a visual aid. By recognizing and addressing boredom, you can transform a disengaged audience into an attentive and interested one. In modern life, where distractions are plentiful and attention spans are short, it's easy for people to become bored or disengaged, especially when the topic doesn't immediately resonate with them. This is why it's more important than ever to be attuned to the subtle signs of boredom and take proactive steps to re-engage your audience. Whether you're having a conversation over coffee, leading a team meeting, or giving a public talk, the ability to notice and respond to boredom can make the difference between a successful interaction and a missed opportunity. A story that illustrates the power of understanding boredom signs comes from a manager who noticed that during team meetings, one of her employees would frequently seem distracted, avoiding eye contact and fidgeting in his seat. Instead of ignoring these signs, she decided to have a private conversation with him after the meeting. She asked if there was anything about the meetings that wasn't working for him, or if he had any suggestions for making them more engaging. The employee admitted that the meetings often covered information that didn't pertain to his work, leading him to lose interest. By recognizing these signs and addressing the issue, the manager was able to restructure the meetings to be more relevant to each team member, resulting in a more engaged and productive group. As you think about this story, reflect on your own interactions. How often do you notice signs of boredom in the people you're talking to? And more importantly, how do you respond when you see these signs? Do you continue as if nothing is wrong, or do you take steps to re-engage the person? By becoming more aware of boredom signs and learning to address them effectively, you can improve your communication skills, build stronger connections, and ensure that your message is heard and valued. Recognizing and understanding signs of boredom is an essential part of effective communication. When someone avoids eye contact, becomes fidgety, or seems distracted, it's a clear signal that they are not engaged with what you're saying. As the Stoics remind us, it's not just about the message you're delivering, but about how it's being received. By tuning into these nonverbal cues and adjusting your approach accordingly, you can keep your audience interested, make your interactions more meaningful, and ultimately become a more effective communicator. Interest and excitement are often conveyed through subtle yet powerful signs that can tell you more about a person's feelings than their words alone. When someone is truly captivated by what you're saying, they tend to show it through their body language and facial expressions. One of the clearest signs is the way their eyes move, glancing at you with bright, focused attention, often accompanied by a slight widening of the eyes, which indicates that they are fully engaged and eager to hear more. Their eyes might light up with enthusiasm, reflecting the genuine excitement they feel about the topic at hand. Positive gestures are another key indicator of interest and excitement. These can include nodding in agreement, leaning forward slightly as if they're drawn into the conversation, and using animated hand movements to express their thoughts. These gestures are often subconscious, revealing a person's true emotions without them even realizing it. When someone is nodding along while you speak, it's a sign that they are not just hearing you, but actively processing and agreeing with what you're saying. Leaning in shows that they are invested in the conversation, literally and figuratively moving closer to you, both in physical space and in understanding. Think about the last time you were in a conversation that truly captivated you. What did you do? You probably found yourself leaning in, nodding along, and maintaining eye contact, eager to absorb every word. This kind of body language is universal. It transcends cultures and is a natural part of human interaction. When we're excited or interested, our bodies naturally respond in ways that encourage the other person to keep talking, to keep sharing, because we're fully engaged and want to know more. This is why recognizing these signs in others is so important. It tells you when you've hit on something meaningful, something that resonates deeply with the person you're speaking to. Now, let's consider how these signs play out in everyday life. Suppose you're in a meeting at work, presenting a new idea to your team. As you speak, you notice a few colleagues leaning forward, their eyes fixed on you, nodding as you outline your plan. You see one or two of them glancing around the room as if making mental connections between your idea and the company's goals. These are all strong indicators that they are not just listening, but that they are genuinely interested and excited about what you're proposing. This is the kind of feedback you can't get from words alone. These nonverbal cues tell you that your message is landing well and that your audience is on board. But what happens when you don't see these signs? If your audience is sitting back, arms crossed with dull, uninterested expressions, it's a clear sign that you need to adjust your approach. Maybe the topic isn't resonating, or perhaps you need to inject more energy or ask more engaging questions. The absence of these positive gestures can be just as telling as their presence. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus wisely noted, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. This idea is especially relevant when considering body language. Listening with your eyes, observing these subtle cues, can give you a deeper understanding of what your audience is really thinking. In modern life, where so much communication happens through screens and devices, it's easy to miss these vital nonverbal cues. However, even in virtual meetings, you can still pick up on interest and excitement through eye contact, gestures, and posture. If someone is sitting upright, making consistent eye contact with the camera, and nodding along, it's a good sign that they're engaged. These cues might be more subtle in a digital setting, but they're still there if you know what to look for. Let me share a story that highlights the importance of recognizing interest and excitement in others. A friend of mine, who is a teacher, noticed that one of her students, who was usually quiet and reserved, started leaning forward in his seat and nodding enthusiastically during a lesson on a topic that clearly resonated with him. Intrigued, she decided to engage him more directly, asking questions that related to his interests. The student's participation increased and he became one of the most active members of the class. This experience taught her, and can teach all of us, the value of tuning into these subtle signs. By recognizing and responding to them, she was able to foster a deeper connection with her student and unlock his potential. In conclusion, recognizing and responding to signs of interest and excitement is key to successful communication. When someone's eyes light up, when they lean in and nod along, these are not just random gestures. They are powerful indicators that you're connecting with them on a deeper level. As Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, advised, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." By focusing on these positive cues, you can cultivate better conversations, build stronger relationships, and create a more engaging and fulfilling dialogue. As we wrap up today's video on how to understand anyone, lessons in understanding others' thoughts, Stoicism, it's essential to remember that understanding others goes beyond just hearing their words. It's about paying attention to the subtle cues, the glances, the gestures, the body language that reveal their true thoughts and emotions. By honing your ability to read these signs, you can connect more deeply with those around you, fostering stronger relationships and navigating life's complexities with greater wisdom and empathy. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." By focusing on understanding and empathy, you not only improve your interactions but also enhance the quality of your own life. If you found value in today's discussion, please take a moment to like this video, share it with others who might benefit from these insights, and subscribe to Stoic in Your Life for more content on applying Stoic principles to everyday situations. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Let's continue this journey together, exploring the timeless wisdom of Stoicism and how it can transform our understanding of ourselves and others. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.